Okay, so welcome to our Impact Stack update this morning. So I'm Jess, the Client Care Manager for Impact Stack, and Florian will be taking you through the more technical side of today's session. So welcome. We're all here to talk about Impact Stack, this system that you will use for your campaigning and for some of you for your fundraising as well. A system that's really easy to use for your team and delivers great supporter experiences for your supporters, very straightforwardly and effectively for you. We talk about it as a system that plays nicely with other systems. So we're not trying to do everything. We're trying to allow you to choose the systems that work best for you and have a platform that will integrate well with them. And we'll be talking more about that this morning. So thank you for being part of our Impact Stack community. We use sessions like this as a chance to bring you together. This one's going to be quite front to back, quite us talking, but we've got a couple more events coming up soon that will be more of a chance for you to connect with other Impact Stack users. So quickly, before we move on, one for the more timely, the short-term things of what's coming up this year. So this is a very election-heavy year, both in the UK and across Europe. So we've got some events coming up that we'll dig a bit deeper into this. But for today, just a quick headline, really, on how we're preparing. So most of you, hopefully, would be interested in this, have had the more detailed version. But just to highlight again, we are working on prospective parliamentary candidate data sets ready for the election period to allow you to contact parliamentary candidates directly. There's actually going to be two data sets available. One with all the email addresses that are available in the data set to allow you to do email to target actions, and also a version without the email addresses. The data set inevitably will have candidates available where we haven't been able to source an email address. So if you want to do a match to target action that will be more complete and allows you to collect the data and deliver it at a later date, either when the data set becomes more complete or through another mechanism via, personal handovers, visiting hustings. There's lots of options that data collection approach can give you. We're also rolling out now, I think there's a few clients who've already indicated they want it, who should be getting it this week, a new data set, which we're calling Match to Constituency, which will be kind of a hollowed out data set that will simply have the facility for you to match the supporter to the correct constituency and collect their messages for all candidates, basically, because obviously we don't have candidate data yet. So that means you can start collecting their messages now, and then either ask us to send them later when the PPC data set is available, or you can collect them for handing over either to the successful candidate after the election or through other mechanisms that you might choose to use. If you're interested in chatting about the possibilities there, just let me know. So we've got two events coming up to talk about election campaigning and guidance, and I'll post some more information about that in the chat and come back to it at the end. Obviously, the UK isn't the only places with elections. We've got a European Parliament election, and we're working with various clients with custom data sets and different approaches. Targeting MEPs is tricky, depending on the country you're in. It's not a straightforward one-to-one mapping like with MPs. So we have developed some guidance to help support you with MEP targeting actions across Europe. So if you're interested in that, do contact me or contact support directly. So I'm going to hand over to Florian for the rest of this session. Again, if you have any questions for Florian throughout, pop them in the chat. I'll field the ones I can and pick some up for Florian to pose at the end. So over to you, Florian.
Thank you and welcome. I'll be talking more about the technical aspects of the next generation of Impact Stack. So less about the sort of current version of the platform and more about like future developments, but also how we're transitioning from the current version of the Impact Stack platform to the next generation. So you can think of Impact Stack as having multiple layers. The top layer is the one that you typically use to launch actions with. So it's online actions, data sets, lobbying politicians, the ability to collect donations and launch fundraising asks, and engagement actions. So all of these features that include things like the landing pages, the form system, and really anything that allows supporters to directly engage with you on these pages. The other two layers might be less obvious, but equally important. The next layer down is the supporter data hub. This is where all the data from supporters gets processed and then sent to different platforms where we have our integrations with email marketing systems and CRM systems. And then if you go even one layer further down, you're looking at data that's used for, we call it Insights Database, Insights DB, for analytics and reporting purposes. So you can think of it that the data flows from the very top to the bottom, and depending on what kind of systems you already use and what kind of systems you're planning on using, you can actually mix and match and choose the different platforms that your organization already has or that are the best fit for your organization. This is very much what we talk about when we say best-in-class approach. We understand that Impact Stack is never going to be the best data visualization tool on the planet, but we can integrate with them and we can make the data available. We will never be the best email marketing system, but we know a lot about email marketing. So we can make sure that the data is prepared in a way that you can do all the things that you need to do with your email marketing system. So today I will start at the very bottom and kind of move my way up through the layers. The first one, just really quickly, you can build your own dashboards with Insights Database. And this is currently available as a pilot project. So we've done that with some clients, but it's not a feature that's already available to everyone. What this does is that we prepare all the data that you have in Impact Stack in a way that that data is anonymized. So for reporting purposes, you don't have to worry about like someone's email address or anything like that. It's anonymized data, so you also don't have to be quite as careful when it comes to security. You can have fixed fields that are available, so it's not like with the Actions CSV file export or where every time you add a field to the form, it will actually extend. In this case, it will be a fixed format. We prepare a database that's already that can be used for large queries. So that is basically the service that we provide. We provide the data in a database, and from there you have all the data, all the form data available. And an example of what you can do with that, if you plug that into a business intelligence tool, is that you can look at exactly how many signups per hour you have, or what supporters have taken what types of actions. And depending on your tracking information, you can know exactly where these supports have come from, which channels are successful for recruitment, that sort of thing. So as I've sort of indicated, this only works in combination with a data visualization tool, such as Metabase or Power BI, or what the majority of these systems are very similar when it comes to connectivity. So for all of these systems, it's basically plug and play, because you can query the data right out of our analytics system, but you're still going to have to build your own dashboard and build your own reporting. If that is something that you're interested in, feel free to reach out. That is available as pilot projects. It's just one of those examples of something that we've built over the past year that is maybe not quite as obvious, but it is really important when you take a step back and you look at the big picture of all the different elements and the different layers of the stack that Impact Stack is made of. The second layer that I'm going to be talking about, and this is going to be a bit longer and a little technical, but bear with me because we have very straightforward solutions to all of these technical challenges, the support data hub. So from our perspective, it's really important that people and organizations invest in automated data flows. But anyone who's ever been involved in a project like that knows that that can be quite time consuming. Often the cost is very difficult to predict. And all of that combined just makes it oftentimes a very difficult project to engage with. So what we've done is that we've really completely overhauled how we do this. And as I've mentioned, the supporter data hub is the place where we prepare all the data, including the segmentation or the contact information, your supporter base, basically. And we prepare that data in a way that we can then easily integrate with email marketing systems or CRM systems of different kinds. Sorry, I'm conscious there's a typo here. It's supposed to be CRM. So systems like .digital, Optimizely, MailChimp, and CRM systems like Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics. So it all starts with creating contact data that is quickly available and structuring that information in a way that is sort of ready to be used. I'm going to give you a few examples. If you think about email marketing, these integrations, if you want to mention the last action a supporter has taken in your email marketing system, this information has to come from somewhere. So what Impact Stack Next Generation does, and this is an example, that we save the name of the last action a supporter has taken in a field. So you can drop it into an email and you can write a sentence like, thank you for taking action on the plastics petition the other day. That is a way that you can use Impact Stack data to kind of form more personalized sentences in emails. The second example I'm going to give you today is to suggest different donation amounts based on the previous donation amounts. So if you think about a supporter has made a one-off donation of £5, the next time around you can actually ask them for a higher donation ask. So depending on everyone who's donated £5 will be asked to make a donation of £10, and anyone who's made a donation of £20 will be asked to make a donation of £30. So that way you can easily have that amount of the previous donation available, and depending on the email marketing system, you can then use conditionals to say, if this amount is higher than that, then here's an entire sentence that I want to see in this email. The third example is that we've really made tracking the recruitment sources and where people are coming from much easier. So this is already possible. Like most of these things are already possible with the current version of Impact Stack. But what we've done here is that we've really just made it work out of the box. So you don't have to worry about it too much. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to come up with all of these ideas on how to solve the puzzles of personalization in email marketing. We will just provide that for you, and by default, it will just work. So the tracking of sources is an example where every supporter can have, we will always record like what's the first action and what's the tracking information of that first action. And this information will also be available for the synchronization to email marketing systems. So you can reference the first action they've ever taken, or you can do segmentation and very fast segmentation based on any tracking information, such as this is the group of people that we've recruited from Facebook over the past 5 years. And the last one is action segmentation is automated. Now, with Impact Stack current version, you can put in the tags as you need them. So with every action, you can just put in any tag that you like. It could also be multiple tags, and that way you can do the segmentation very quickly. But what we've decided to do is that we're making this much more seamless, really. We're separating, there will be one new field on the contact record that automatically has the IDs of every single action this person has already taken. So if you don't put in any particular segmentation information when you're setting up an action, it will still end up on the contact record, and it will also be synchronized to the email marketing system without you having to worry about it and having to do anything. But you can still do the sort of auto segmentation where you choose the exact tag. So we're not taking that away. We're just building something new, or we've built something new that allows you to pull in that data automatically and just start using it whenever. So another thing that we've introduced with email marketing integrations is the ability to treat new contacts, so people who are already on the email list, and existing contacts, sorry, new contacts, people who are not on the email list, and existing contacts who've already subscribed previously, to treat those differently when it comes to what data we're sending to the email marketing system. So this is just one more feature that makes it really useful if you have multiple data sources and you would like to combine that. So these are the things that are rolled out, that are getting rolled out for all the email marketing integrations. We already migrated all clients using Optimizely I believe the last one was about a year ago, but now we're rolling out the MailChimp integration. So this is what's happening right now, and thank you to Free Tibet and Praxis for being the first two organizations that we're working with. What all clients using MailChimp are getting is the latest version of the API implemented. All the new contact fields that I've just outlined will be mapped. So all you need to do is just add a field in MailChimp that has the right name, and then the data will automatically synchronize from Impact Stack. And the third thing that's a big improvement is that we are implementing MailChimp native tags on MailChimp contacts. So the way that it used to work is that there was one field that had all the tags and all the segments in it separated by a comma. So you had somewhat limited space. It did fulfill the purpose, but it wasn't perfect. Now with MailChimp and the native tags field, they introduced that feature, and we are now sending all of that to tags, like all of our tags to their field. So this rollout is already in progress. Here's an example of a screenshot from MailChimp where you can see the tags appear as they're coming in along with the contact record. So that just makes it so much easier. And also it's kind of like our tags are mapped to MailChimp tags. So it's much faster to then work with that in MailChimp because it's already separated into tags on the contact. Now, we will contact you to schedule an upgrade. This is very much dependent on how eager you are to get this done. We are basically grouping clients based on complexity, but also in some cases based on how easy it will be to schedule this and make it happen. But feel free to also reach out to us. We will be in touch, and this rollout is actually happening between sort of now and at some point in September will be the latest point. So CRM integrations. We've briefly talked about this, but the idea is that CRM integrations are often very difficult to do, and they require a lot of different stakeholders to kind of agree on a scope and then potentially a lot of budget. So what we have been working towards are what we call set and forget data flows. Now, obviously, they will always need a little bit of maintenance and someone has to be in charge of it. But there are loads of integration partners out there and loads of companies that do offer certain integrations at a monthly cost. So rather than having a huge upfront cost and very complicated requirements and then bespoke integration work, what we are working towards is having as many of these plug and play, ready to go data flows to CRM systems available for any organization that needs them. So the first one is Salesforce. We've been talking about this one a lot, but we now have a formal partnership with Clouderia, which is a Salesforce implementation partner. And what they offer is a Salesforce app. So that is in the Salesforce environment, an application that you can install on your Salesforce setup. What that will do is that you get every form submission that ever happens in Impact Stack saved into Salesforce as a custom object, and then you can pull the data out of there. So that is very straightforward. It doesn't require a long time to set up. It doesn't require a huge amount of budget. It has a setup fee, and the setup fee will probably change over time. It will probably go down a bit, depending on how many organizations are using it. And the cost starts at something like £120 a month. That includes all the maintenance. You can be sure that that data flow is functional and is working. And that would be a contract that you have with them. We are also considering sort of partnering up so you can have that contract with us and we will subcontract it. But that's sort of like a detail for later. If you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. The other connector that we're working on is Razor's Edge NXT and various different Blackboard products. So this is also one of these plug and play connectors. It works with all of the Blackboard products, and in future will also work with MS Dynamics. This is delivered in partnership with Smart Thing, and you can actually, you can basically pay, again, a small setup fee and then a monthly fee. and they will take care of the data flow. They will make sure that it's always in place and it's all functioning. Now, all of this is possible because we have updated our webhooks and which is the real-time API. That is how all the data can flow out of Impact Stack into other systems very easily. We've had these webhooks for quite a long time, but what we did in the past year is that we updated the webhooks quite significantly. The documentation has been updated, and we've actively worked with some partners, but also many organizations that are clients to automate data flows. So we've been really using that much more, and also learning from that usage and making them better. And this is included for free. Just to be very clear, we are not charging anything for this. The setup of webhooks will require a little bit of support time. But at the end of the day, you can either use our webhooks basically for free that are included in the monthly fee and control your own data flows, or you can work with our implementation partners and use one of these plug and play connectors and then have an ongoing relationship with them, so they can just make sure that all of the data is flowing into the CRM system. So that was the more technical part. So I'm moving from the very bottom to the top layer of Impact Stack. So now let's take a look at where we're at with next generation in terms of other features. So Impact Stack next generation already has a very powerful landing page system. So what you're getting is a new editing experience for page building, including a live preview, and it just has loads of little features in the area of page building that are really great. So if you're looking for landing pages, that bit is already well covered with Impact Stack Next Generation. The other thing is the design of the themes and how the two of them, the landing page system and the design, really work together and how it's optimized for action. Now you all have the next generation designs and theming system in place already. But again, with the next generation of Impact Stack, that will be even more integrated. So that means that you will have more functionality when it comes to controlling the theme and really making the most use of it through the interface. You have easy forms that really drive action. The drag and drop form builder is already available in the first version. So we're still working a lot around forms because forms are really quite critical to most types of actions. So that's by no means complete at this point, but we do have the first version of the form builder that can already do all sorts of petitions and basic data capture type actions. We have really nice interfaces for adding snippets. So what's now called snippets in Impact Stack are these little pieces of HTML code that you can drop into the page that will that allow you to do all sorts of things, like place a sticky button on your pages, do letter displays with people's names on it, quotes and accordions and all sorts of things. But with the next generation of Impact Stack, you will be able to add those all of those things via the interface really easily. Another thing that I can tell you that we're quite far when it comes to the roadmap is social proof. So we've rolled out the progress bars, we've rolled out the first version of recent signers. And what we're currently working on is a compact version of recent signers and progress bar combined. So that is what you can see here on the screen. It would basically mean that you have the progress bar and you can add like one single line of recent signers underneath it. That is particularly good for mobile view because it's just more compact, but it can also be useful if you don't want like a whole block of recent signers on the page. But you still want that sense of like real-time updates. There are also a lot of feature requests that we received from from clients and partners that we're working with over the years. And this is just to show you a few of the things. Obviously, your client, like your requests and your feedback goes into pretty much every feature that we ever built. But these are just some very specific ones that I want to highlight. The first one is quickly duplicating pages and actions. We do understand that that is currently not as easy with the current version of Impact Stack, In the next generation, you can do all of that yourself. It's very quick, and you can have you can duplicate as many pages as you like, and it won't cause any major conflicts, or it would be very easy to see in the interface, all of those things. The second one is changing the share button labels and also the order of share buttons. That is another thing that we've introduced in the current version of Impact Stack. That is pretty fixed. You can change the copy around it, and you can make a lot of changes to the share buttons. But the thing that is fixed is the order, and you can't change the label yourself. With the next generation, we've made that possible. The third thing is that you can have little signatures on the letter. So this is something that we've had a lot. If you think about the letter display, it's really nice to show a message to a target. But previously we didn't have the ability to place signatures on the letter. Now that is also available. Sorry. The next thing is the ability to embed forms. You can already embed forms with the current version of Impact Stack, but it uses iframes. And therefore it comes with certain limitations because iframes are, by default, they're not very accessible, and they also have loads of other problems when it comes to tracking, and when it comes to controlling the user flow on the page. Now, with the next generation of Impact Stack, what we've done is that the entire widget will function without iframes. So this is really great because it means that you can place a form on any page if you wanted, and you can develop your own page. You can build your own pages in another system if you need to. Of course, we will still provide you with the out-of-the-box experience as it stands. That is really smooth, including landing pages and everything that you need. But if you absolutely want to and need to, you will be able to use the code of the form on any other pages, and will provide a range of different widgets that will be available to all clients. And the last point is the ability to display logos of partners. If you're running an action with more than one organization or in partnership with others, then you can use a fixed way to display these logos on the next generation alongside of the action. Again, these are just some examples. Obviously, we constantly receive feedback from all of you, and thank you for that, because that is exactly what we need to make sure that we're building products that really meet your needs. So the form builder, just very briefly, I've already mentioned it a little bit. This is a screen grab of the form builder. Like on first glance, it kind of looks similar to the existing one. You have fields that you can drag in, and you have a preview, and you can edit these fields. Now, where we're at with that is we actually built a mobile-first version of this, so you can use that on any screen size and on any device. It's also more accessible in other ways, and we've already integrated the basic fields and full HTML and all sorts of like special fields in some way. What we are currently working on that will be released in the coming weeks is an entire action editing interface. So not just the form itself, but also the thank you email and some information about the action itself. And then we'll be working on adding more different form fields to the form builder. So currently the form builder is very much petition only. You can also do a few other things, but it doesn't have any email to target capability or like a full donation capability at the moment. This is what we're still working on, and that will take a bit longer. So when will you be migrated? Impact Stack Next Generation is coming, but I think it's really important to say that we are working on a lot of different milestones here, and it will be one step at a time. So if we're thinking about the milestones, we started with the next generation of themes in 2022. Then the next milestone that we released was the ability to launch coalition petitions and generally all the features around coalitions on the next generation of Impact Stack. Then we've moved on to the next milestone that we called powerful petitions. That is the point where we think that the next generation of Impact Stack is actually one of the most flexible and most powerful systems for petitions already. But of course, the majority of organizations we work with don't just use petitions. So that is just one milestone towards the bigger picture. Then we have worked on Insights database to make sure that that last layer that I was talking about in terms of reporting is available. Support the data hub and integrations. That's also what I showed you today. And the next milestone that we're working on, once we're done with this one, is that we are working on full advocacy. Full advocacy means that email to target, match to target, and all of those types of actions will be available in the next generation of Impact Stack. And that will also be the first point in time where like all the organizations that don't use the donation functionality within Impact Stack could theoretically already be migrated. Now we're planning on, like we're working on this in Q3 and Q4 of 2024. Then we're going to implement the fast donations, and that's likely to happen in Q1 2025. And we're aiming for feature completion by Q3 of 2025. Now, a system is never quite feature complete. So what we mean by feature completion in that case is that we say at that point, we expect to cover all of the functionality that Impact Stack currently has that we will also bring into the next generation. That is the point where we're expecting to have reached that level. Now, migration is not an on and off switch. In the past, we've been talking about migration a little bit like there will be this one point where everything is new and where you as an organization will have the next generation of Impact Stack. But the more we've been working on it and the more we've also been learning from pilot projects and migrating the first organizations and working with organizations in the next generation, we actually think it's much more like a gradual transition. So the way that we're organizing it is, first of all, partial upgrades. So it's not like there will be one point in time where you'll just have all of the new features. For the majority of you, you will have some of the new features and a part of your system will already be upgraded. So one part at a time. The example that I've given today is the support the data hub and the email marketing integration. That is already an upgrade, and a lot of you are going to see this upgrade in the coming weeks and months. But it's not the whole system. It's actually the supported data and everything that's connected to supported data that will be upgraded. The second point on how we're organizing this migration is parallel use. So we want to make sure that everyone has a smooth transition. And if you can already make use of some of the features of the next generation of Impact Stack, and you have a use case where that is very relevant for you, you will be able to use the systems in parallel. And an example again of the why not use the new data supported data hub and all the integrations with the current version of Impact Stack and Actions, that makes a lot of sense. So you will be using two systems in parallel, and that will enable you to then build on top of that and roll out new actions as you go on the next generation. The third point is your capacity. So some organizations don't have a lot of capacity to engage with their tech. That's totally understandable. You have other things to get on with. And other organizations are highly engaged because they want certain features to work in a certain way, or they have very specific requirements for one particular tactic that they want to make happen. So we want to make sure that the way that we're organizing this transition from current version to Impact Stack to next generation is very much also like it can be tailored to, depending on your situation, like how much capacity you have. So don't worry about it. You won't have to engage with this like to the degree that maybe some of our pilot project partners are engaging with. We will have different paths for migration for everyone. And the last one is your budget. I want to be very clear that there is no cost for upgrading from current version to next generation if you wait and you don't have any custom features that you want us to work on. Now, if that is true, you will basically be upgraded to the next generation at no cost. but there are ways that you can shape that. You can be fast-tracked, and loads of other considerations that we're going to go into. So when will you be upgraded? If you work on a pilot project with us, because you need some of the functionality that the next generation can already offer, this is already happening. So we are continuing to accept pilot projects to work on, because that allows us to get instant feedback from organizations using the software. So we're not just building functionality, we're building it for a specific use case where it's being used. So that is just how we do product development in a sensible way. The second way that you will be upgraded is the support the data hub. That migration has already started, and all of the clients using optimized integrations already have been migrated. All of the clients using MailChimp integrations are being upgraded right now, and we're going to take it from there. So this is sort of like eventually everyone will have the supported data side of things upgraded. And the third thing is any organization that has fairly low complexity, so not a huge amount of custom features, and an organization that's very keen, we will be able to migrate you in late 2024. This is especially true if you don't use donations within the Impact Stack at the moment. And the last group of clients will be high complexity or happy to wait, and that will happen at some point during 2025. Now, of course, we're still learning, and that is really important for us to say. So as you can see, every time we present how we do this migration, it might sound a little different, but we always want to be very transparent about how we do things. There will also be more regular communications coming, but what's also connected to transparency is that if we realize that we had a plan that wasn't working for someone, then we will actually revise that plan for the next organizations. So we do develop software and using agile methodologies, and that means that we work in cycles. And at the end of each of these cycles, we will change our plans if need to. So if we uncover certain issues, or if we learn from the previous work that we've done, we will incorporate that, and we think that is better for the product, that's better for all of you, and that's not a sign of failure, that's actually a sign of us learning from our experience and then sharing that with you. And the third point is, having used pilot projects to inform a lot of these decisions, we decided that it's even more important to have like this gradual transition that I was talking about. So less sort of flicking a switch and everyone is just migrated from one day to another. It's more that we're going to do this this sort of gradual transition. And the last point that I'm going to say is, yes, the preliminary timelines had to be adjusted. Software development is often very difficult to predict, and we are working hard to bring the next generation of Impact Stack to you, and also all of the features that come with it. And we're quite passionate about making those features really the best that we can make them, and the best that are out there. So bear with us. We might have to adjust timelines every once in a while, but this is kind of the timelines that we're currently working with. As I've already mentioned, a lot of these new features that we have developed, they will already be in use in the background in the coming weeks. So just really quickly on pilot projects as a step towards migration. This is entirely optional. We just want to be very clear what a pilot project is. So this is basically working with us like a custom software project. So if you have a specific requirement of a kind of action that you want to launch, or you want to launch a system for an entire coalition or anything like that, we will work with you to define the scope, to understand the use case, and then to build a bespoke version, a bespoke kind of action or system based on the next generation of Impact Stack. You will be able to run these versions in parallel. So there will be the next generation version for the pilot, and the version that you use on a day-to-day basis. That way you can make the best use of the new features as soon as they're ready, and you will also get to shape the platform. The timelines for these types of projects always have to be discussed because there might be implications in terms of our roadmap and things like that. So pilot projects, that is one way to engage with the next generation already. Just to give you some examples, if you're launching as a coalition, we have the feature to separate the data from a coalition partner to another, but still share a shared platform. Now that is one of the key coalition features. If you're working on a coalition, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to have a chat. The second one is anything that's petition based, but you think it would be useful to have some kind of new features in addition to the petition. Whether that is generating images with dynamic data on it, whether that is any kind of like anything that has to do with personalization based on constituency, things like that. So basically a petition system that has something else to it, some other kind of feature that we can be working on with you. The third example is a new kind of email marketing integration. So if you have an email marketing system that you think is worth integrating directly with Impact Stack, let's have a conversation. And if you need landing pages for creative content and a lot of content control, storytelling elements, or for donor recruitment, but with an external payment page, that is also something that Impact Stack Next Generation can deliver as pilot projects. As many of you will know, we've worked with Compassion World Farming on an international coalition called EndIt. And this is an example of how you can use Impact Stack Next Generation for coalition petitions. And we've been working with a range of different organizations on landing pages for donor recruitment. And this is an example from an organization called Light for the World. And they were using an external payment processing page, but using Impact Stack landing pages that are really quick and easy to set up. So the other thing that you can do and that is already happening is using the next generation for data flows and analytics. So this is at fixed cost or no cost to you at all, but it brings the latest technology to you. So I've mentioned the business intelligence side. So you're using Insights DB for data reporting. That is basically a data warehousing service from our side where we structure the data and you can just connect it to your own business intelligence tool and build your own visualizations or merge the data with data from other systems. And you can build your own dashboard with Impact Stack data. We're still in the pilot stage of that, but the cost of setup is typically fairly minimal, but it will start with a setup cost of around 3K. Eventually, that's going to go down because we're still in this sort of early stage of only a handful of clients using it. The next one is integrating CRMs with webhooks. I've mentioned this before. Either you just use our webhooks. If you have webhooks set up, there's no charge. If you need a little bit of support, the support team will give you an estimate of how much they think it's going to take, how many hours of support it's going to take to set up webhooks for you. But we all encourage you to explore CRM integrations through webhooks. If you want something that kind of works out of the box, then think about some of these plug and play connectors that we've worked with our integration partners on, and go for one of those. Email marketing upgrade, that is happening, as I've mentioned, that is happening right now. Especially with MailChimp, you will get native tags and all of the new features, and we will reach out to schedule the migration. But this is also a point to say, if you would like to be part of the MailChimp, if you would like your MailChimp integration to be upgraded very soon, please do reach out. There's no cost to this, but we are working on this for all the clients using this integration. So thank you. That was it from my side. And please do reach out to discuss any pilot projects or migration needs. Also, feel free to ask questions. We do have a bit more time, I believe, in terms of questions. So yeah, thank you for your attention and let's have a chat.
Thank you, Florian. Bang on time. We've got one question in the chat already, so we'll start with that. But if you do have questions for Florian, please feel free to pop them in the chat, or you're very welcome to pop your hand up and we can take you off mute. But we'll kick off with a question from Abby from Women's Aid, asking about the whether there are plans to expand the number of CRM integrations, and I assume she means those kind of plug and play options. So we currently use Access, formerly Thank You, and would love to see an Impact Stack integration.
So the way that we approach this is that we're very open to working with implementation partners on these types of integrations. What we often find is that any sort of CRM that's widely used has a community of integration partners where there are at least one or two that are very good at this. So what we require from an integration partner is that they will be able to just use our technical documentation and process the data for you. So from our perspective, what we are doing is we're working with the integration partner to make sure that they can integrate our webhooks and receive the data correctly, and then they will process it and move it into your CRM. So yes, we're very open to that. The question is whether we find an implementation partner that can already do that with Access CRM. But it's definitely worth having a conversation, and yes, we're definitely open to sort of expanding that to as many CRMs as we can, really.
Thanks, Florian. Any further questions? Can't see anything in the meeting chat, but should we just give everybody a moment to see if you're still typing? Thanks, Abby. Anybody who prefers to pose a question in person, feel free to raise your hand using the Zoom option. We'll be able to see you. Okay, if not, we'll draw to a close now. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Thanks very much for coming. We'll share the recording in a day or two. So anybody who missed the beginning or wants to recap any of that, we'll share the slides and the recording with you before the end of this week. And before we leave, just a reminder, we've got 2 more events coming up. So I'm just going to pop the links to those into the chat. So these are both kind of election related. So the first of these on the 5th of June is 5 ways to boost your impact this election year. So this is an open session for Impact Stack users and others, and very applicable to anyone thinking about any kind of election campaigning. So not just those of us in the UK who are thinking particularly about the general election. And then a second event on the 12th of June, which will be for Impact Stack clients only. So that will be a much smaller event. It will be more of a roundtable format. So this will be a chance to come and share your plans with others, explore what other people are doing, compare and learn from one another. So roundtable format under the Chatham House rule. And we're very grateful that Ian, who I think is on the call, has agreed to kind of kick things off with sharing some experience from Friends of the Earth, England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Ian worked on their last general election campaign and on election campaigning around the mayoral elections earlier this year in the UK. So we'll have some really kind of solid insights from Ian to get the ball rolling at that event. So links in the chat if you'd like to sign up for either of those. We'd love to see you there. Otherwise, thanks very much to everybody for coming, and we look forward to seeing you at another event soon.
Thank you. Goodbye.